What's up, guys? Storm here, and welcome to episode 1 of your New York Rangers franchise mode. So, of course, Artemi Panarin is the face of our franchise, and we will be building our team around him. Now, our team is actually second lowest in overall in our division, so it's going to be tough to get into the playoffs, but I'm definitely going to fight to get in. Anyway, however the season goes, it will be a positive, right? We could either go really low in the standings and get a top pick, or on the contrary, we could fight for a playoff spot and get some valuable experience for some of our young players. In terms of owner mode, we'll keep it on, we'll keep firing on, keep CPU trades on, of course. Fog of War, we're going to turn off because it has some glitches involved with it. I don't want the head coach editing the lines. Auto owner will turn on, except relocation. Nope. Auto staff, yeah, that's all good. And I'll just show you the rules and settings that I got here. So accessibility, that's actually already set up. In terms of the quick settings, I have a pre-build that I have for all my franchise modes. The pro doesn't matter, but I'll keep it on superstar anyways. Trade difficulty we want on hard. And fog of war off. Waivers on. Auto scouting both, and auto staff management off. And then in terms of the advanced settings, we want head coach edit lines not at all. Fully healed. We want the sim engine scoring. We'll start off at medium. If there's not enough scoring, we'll move it to high. I hope there is enough though, and I hope it's realistic to the real NHL. That's all good. Gameplay version latest, of course. Yeah, that all looks good to me. In terms of gameplay, I haven't messed with them at all. Yeah, that's good. Keep this out.
Alright guys, so there were a few audio problems at the end of the last clip, but it should be fine now. Now before we move on, I want to just talk about some rules that I've set for myself for this franchise mode just to make it a bit harder, as it is kind of easy in this game to build a really good team. So starting off with contracts, any contract that has an average annual cost of 3 million to 5 million and is a UFA will get a 10-team no trade clause, and any contract between 5 million and 7 million on an AAV has a 5-team no trade clause, and then any player that gets more than 7 million will be given an automatic no movement clause. So in terms of the no trade clauses, the way that we're going to decide the teams if we need to is going to be through a random generator. So for example, for the 5-team no trade clause, we just take a random generator, it picks the 5 teams, and then from there we can only trade a certain player with the clause to those 5 teams. In terms of the no move clause, that means that we can't waive them, we can't buy them out, we can't trade them, we can't do any of that jazz. And the only way that we can get rid of them or trade them actually is if they agree to it. And it would only make sense for them to agree to it if like it's a situation that would benefit them. So situations like that could include if they're say a 32-year-old and they're maybe not playing as well as they used to, and they want to go on one last cup run. They want to go to a contending team, and we're not a contending team, so it makes sense for them to do that. Another one would be that if a player is maybe in a contract year and is about to go to unrestricted free agency, but is not getting the ice time on our team that they need to grow and produce effectively to get that big contract, maybe then they would be willing to give the NMC, or maybe they're just really unhappy with the locker room situation. Furthermore, we can only change the contract length that our player is demanding by 1 year. So what this means is, say Artemi Panarin is up for a contract extension and he asks, I want a 4-year extension. That means we can only give him 3, 4, and 5-year contract lengths, not any more, not any less if we want to sign him. And finally, if an unrestricted free agent says no in that they're not interested in an extension, we cannot pursue them. It does not matter if they say no, we cannot pay any more money than any more money, and we just can't go after them. In terms of the draft, we have a maximum of 2 goalies that we can pick every draft. This is just to limit the amount of goalies we pick because goalies, it's really easy to find them at a low round and they can be elite. And then finally, we can only move into a top 15 draft position if the other team wants to give up the draft pick. This just to prevent situations like maybe there's a medium franchise that's up at first overall, and the team that can draft him is really undervaluing the pick, and it makes sense for them to pick him. But because we overpay them, in their opinion, in the trade, they make the trade. But if we actually go forward, our player develops like crazy and it's not worth it. It's a terrible trade for them. So we're just ripping them off. So I don't want to do that. And that ties into the last rule, which is that the trades must make sense for the other team. If we don't do that, then the franchise mode will just simply get so unrealistic, which is something I don't want to do. All right, so before we go any further, I want to check out this team. Let's just get into what this team is made of and how their players are. So before, I just want to disclaim that I have actually made some adjustments as some of the overalls and potentials were a bit off. For example, Henrik Lundqvist was an 86 overall, which kind of overrates where is at this position of his career. Alexander Georgiev was really like underrated. His overall was fine, but he was giving a medium fringe potential, which actually made his trade value like almost non-existent. So he wouldn't be a real asset, which is just not what he is in real life. As in real life, we know that New York was demanding a bunch for Georgiev. So, anyways, let's get into it. So, in terms of goalies, we've got the three goalie issue, which has been largely talked about in New York this year. We've got Henrik Lundqvist, the team legend. We got Igor Shesterkin, the young elite goalie of the future, and then we got the guy in the middle, Alex Georgiev, who's had some NHL experience, but it's limited. He has starter potential, but we don't know if he's going to get there. Now, initially, I also want to say, tying into the rules that I mentioned earlier, um, existing no move and no trade clauses will be honored, and I'll be putting up a spreadsheet to see where you can see which players have those no trade clause and what each player's contract is at the current time. Um, so in terms of the goalies here, we've got 3 goalies. My plan is to trade Alex Georgiev. Shesterkin is just far better, and we just can't trade Lundqvist because he's got a no-move clause. And as a club legend who's been a one-team man, there's no real reason for him to want to go. As in real life, he doesn't really show, like, he's not willing to leave for winning a cup, right? And then in the minors, we got Jean-Francois Berube, who's not much. He's just maybe a good number 3 or 4. We got Adam Huska, who's a medium fringe starter, so maybe he grows into anything, although it is unlikely. And then we got Olaf Lindblom, who was picked in 2018 and has got medium starter potential, so that's a decent prospect in the system. In terms of defensemen, now Jacob Trouba is locked up for 7 years on an $8 million AAV, so it's a big contract that he's on, excuse me. So he's our number 1 defenseman right now. He is the face of our defensive core, and we plan to keep him around for a long time. He's got high top 4 defense potential. So even though he is already 25, maybe he can grow a few more overall and make that contract look a bit nicer because it's really not looking too good right now. Then we got Tony DeAngelo, who's up at the end of this year. He's 83 overall, offensive defenseman. And yeah, he's got a lot of offensive capabilities. Defensively, obviously, he's not very good. And he's got a medium top 4, so he probably won't get much better than what he is right now. Then we got Adam Fox, who's in real life has had a fantastic rookie year as an offensive defenseman as well. He's got a high top 4 potential, so he could grow and be a significant player on our team. Then Mark Stahl on that horrid 2 more years left on this terrible contract of 5.7 million. He might play a role in our team. I mean, ideally he wouldn't, but he probably will as his defensive setup isn't too strong. We got Ryan Lindgren, who's 21 years old, 76 overall. So he's a solid prospect, but probably not NHL ready. So I'll look to send him down. And then we got Brendan Smith, who can play forward as well. And yeah, he's not too good as well. He's on a pretty terrible contract, 2 years as well. So that's like 10 million, over 10 million that we have tied up in Mark Stahl and Brendan Smith, 2 pretty bad defensemen. And just if we had those $10 million to spare, we could get 2 really good defensemen. And then in the system, we got Libor Hayek, He's 78 overall. He's probably a bit more NHL ready than the other top four potential defensemen that we had in the NHL. His name was Ryan Lindgren. He is a bit more NHL ready than Ryan Lindgren, so I might look to call him up, even though he's not fully poised for the NHL. A defensive defenseman would complement our offensive defenseman nicely as well. Then we got Darren Radish, not anything significant. We got Matthew Robertson, who's a pretty solid prospect, medium top four. Um, yeah, he looks to be good. He was picked in the second round this past draft. That's pretty solid. We got Crawley, Ebert, Gross, who's a decent prospect, 63 at 19. We'll see if he develops. And then we got Kaylee Cialin at 61. He's at age 20. That's pretty solid as well. He could develop into something. We got Nils Lundqvist. He's in the same boat. We have a lot. So, yeah, these are a few more C tier prospects, C level prospects that we've got. So we've got quite a few B and C level defensive prospects. All right, let's move into the forwards. Obviously, Artemi Panarin on over that $11.5 million contract. He is the face of our franchise, and he's an absolute superstar. So hopefully, he can produce like that and and show that he is completely worth his money. We got Mika Zibanejad alongside of him, 89 overall. 2 more years on a $5.3 million contract. So just as his contract expires, those two bad contracts on the defensive core also expire. So they should be able to fund his contract. And yeah, he's on a steal for the next 2 years or next 3 years actually on the contract. So that's pretty solid. He is a fantastic player. And definitely a first line center in the NHL. Then we got Chris Kreider, who's 85 overall. He's got a $4.625 million contract for this year and already got that inbuilt 7-year extension at $6.5 million. So we'll see how he does. He's a legit top six forward. Ryan Strome is another legit top six forward who has done really good in the NHL this year alongside Artemi Panarin. So yeah, he should be playing as a top two center this year for us. Then we got Pavel Buchnevich, who's an 83 overall sniper. Hopefully he can grow a bit, but I doubt he does as his potential shows that he's probably capped off. So we've got 5 legitimate top 6 forwards, with one being a superstar and another being a top liner, and then these 3 all being second liners. So you may be saying that we're missing that first line right wing, but we'll get to a little guy there in a few minutes and a few players that might be able to fill that role very soon. Then we got Philip Hedl, who was probably going to play third line center. He's 20 years old, was picked in the first round, third scorer he's listed as, so he looks pretty solid, medium top 6 potential. Jesper Fast, who currently does not want an extension, so abiding by our rules, we cannot send him a contract extension right now. We can send it to Ryan Strome though. And yeah, he's a pretty solid third line player. Nothing special though. And Kapakako, this is the man I was alluding to a few seconds ago. He is absolutely fantastic. Obviously picked second overall. He's got that medium elite potential. We want him to be an absolute superstar. We want him to live up to the potential. Right after him, we got Brett Howden, who's another solid B-level young player. He could grow into a top 6 forward, which would be fantastic. Currently a fourth liner, will play in the NHL. We got Brennan Lemieux, who's a medium top 9. Probably won't grow into much, but could be a useful bottom 6 player, which is where he'll play this year. We got Phil DiGiuseppe, Michael Haley, Greg McKegg. All won't be much in the long term. Julien Gauthier, who is not NHL ready on the slightest. Top 6 forward at age 21, 73 overall. We'll probably look to send him down to the AHL. In the system, we got Matt Bileski, we got Boo Neves. They're not anything significant. Then we got Leash Anderson, so 75 overall, age 20, medium top 6 potential. We hope he grows as well into that maybe second line center of the future. We got Vitaly Kravtsov, who's in a similar boat. We hope he grows into a top 6 player of the future. Lettieri is not much. Gettinger, potentially. These guys on the same boat. I mean, Gettinger's a bit younger, so a bit more hopeful of him. He's only 21. Hopefully he can contribute in the NHL in the future. Let's see. Ryan Gropp, same thing with him. He can hopefully be a bottom 6 player of the future. Tyroning, same thing with him. Straight out of camp. Hopefully he can make our team straight out of camp in a few years as well. We got Henriksen, Edstrom, Altonen. Yeah, so a few more decent prospects there. Let's check out the coaching staff before we align the lines. and just see how our coaches are right now. So we've got an A- coach. That's pretty solid, but he's a physical coach, which is a bit weird and probably doesn't fit our team to the best way, even though he does like Panarin, Zibanejad. He's got a 64% team fit, which is not bad. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Let's see. Does it say Adam Fox? He doesn't like Adam Fox that much. Panarin, Zibanejad are all okay. So everyone's in the middle. He doesn't love anyone on our team. But yeah, not a bad coach to start off with. He's got really good teaching, A+ teaching, which is huge considering the young team that we've have. It will be good for their growth. Then our associate coach is pretty solid. He's got an A- in teaching, but his special teams are not so good, and that is really what matters for an associate or assistant. So that's a bit concerning. And then our assistant coach is Bernard Couture, who's got really good penalty kill, which I like, but not much else. Got a goalie coach there. In terms of our AHL head coach, he's got a great penalty kill, not great teaching, which I don't love, especially in the AHL where we have so many young players. Let's check. Are there any coaches available right now? B- is the best we've got, and that's for an associate coach. In terms of an AHL head coach, is this guy better at teaching? He's got an A- at teaching, so maybe. Oh, it's a she. Maybe Evelyn Ferrero would be a solid option. Actually, I think that would because as a B-, she equals our current guy that we have in there, and she's a better teacher. So I'm actually gonna make that change right away. I'm gonna fire Mario Lecavalier. Sorry for not giving you a chance, bud, but we've got a better option in free agency, and for some reason I can't. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna have to promote this guy and then make the signing. That's interesting. Yeah, so let's do that real quick. Evelyn Ferrero into the AHL head coach position. That should be good for her. And yeah, it's pretty solid. Let's check out the scouts now. So we've got one really good scouter and we've got two other mid-tier ones. I mean, the Russian scout, you don't see many uh, good Russian scouts at 228. His salary isn't bad. We have a lot of scout salary, of course, and New York Rangers are a rich team. Let's see what we have. In terms of free agency, not much. C is all we've got, so we're not going to look to sign anyone right now. So that first year, in terms of first year draft, might be tough and might be kind of poor in terms of scouting. All right, let's try to fiddle with our team. By the way, our team status is a rebuilder. That kind of sucks, but yeah, maybe that's a good thing. We get some more prospects in the line. That could help. So, in terms of goalies, we'll keep those guys up. Defense, I'm going to send down Ryan Lindgren, bring up Libor Hayek. And then we have 6 there. Maybe an extra, we can bring up Darren Radish. We'll send down a forward. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we'll send Gauthier down. Keg as well, maybe. I'll see if I have a better forward option in the AHL. Matt Bolesky, yeah, he's better. I mean, that $1.9 million cap hit, you don't love to see that. But we'll send down Michael Haley. He's not very good at all. And yeah, I'll mess with the lines and then I'll show you guys them after they are fixed. All right, so I've set up the lines, and chemistry-wise, it's pretty good. Player quality-wise, not so good. So the first line's pretty solid. Panarin, Strome, Buchnevich. Now the reason I've got Strome there instead of Zibanejad is because of chemistry reasons. On the second, we've got Kreider, Zibanejad, Kakko. I actually want Kakko lower in the team because I don't want to overplay him, but the second line's not that bad, and obviously he helps the chemistry a lot. Then Jesper Fast, Filipino, and Brennan Lemieux on the third line, and then Phil DiGiuseppe, Brett Howden, and Greg McKegg on the fourth. So you see it really drops off there at that fourth line, even on the third line, right? After the pretty solid top 6, with the exception of Kaapo Kakko, who will eventually get there. Then on the defense, the right side is pretty solid. The left side is pretty brutal. We got Libor Hayek with Adam Fox. So that's a +5, which is the reason I've got them there. So hopefully together they can play well. We've got Jacob Trouba with Mark Stahl. So that's I mean, I'd rather not have Mark Stahl there, but at least it works together. Then we got Brendan Smith, who I really don't want on this team, and Tony DeAngelo on the power play. This is what we are rocking. We got Strome, Zibanejad, Kreider, DeAngelo, Panera on the first unit. Gives us a +1. And then we got Buchnevich, Hedel, Kako, Fox, and Fost on the second unit, which hopefully will be pretty solid as well. On the penalty kill we're rocking Zibanejad, Kreider, Trouba, Hayek, Howden, McKegg, Fox, and Stahl. In terms of the goaltenders, we got Blomqvist and Shesterkin, and I'm immediately looking to deal Alexander Georgiev. Now, to do that, I'm probably gonna look for either a bottom line forward or like someone who can grow, maybe a bottom six forward or maybe a top six forward, a forward or a defenseman. Like we need help everywhere we can get. Maybe I look for a prospect. We're gonna see. I'll look for a few teams who want him at the moment, and then next episode I'll actually go forward with trading him. So we got Alexander Georgiev, whatever you want to call him. So his value, even after making him a medium starter, isn't too significant, but we'll be able to get something. Second and a fourth, Anton Hudobin. Second, Alexei Sorella, Brett Connolly. So we got a forward there. Afanaseyev, Campbell, Abramov. So, I mean, if we're not going to get a major asset, I would rather just get a defenseman over a forward because the defenseman might at least, left-handed defenseman might at least help the chemistry. So I'll go through teams who want to give up that defenseman. Ooh, Julius Honka would be pretty cool to get, but his value is probably a bit too high, and he's right-handed. Doesn't really fit into the coaching scheme, or not where I want. Wait, where does he fit into the coaching scheme? Let me check it and see it. Top 4 defensive pairings, and it's not even scouted well, so I don't really want to go after him. Defense, we got Mike Green here. He's a right-handed D-man, and Chris Russell, we don't want to touch his contract. Then we got nothing here. All right, I'll come back to you guys when I find some players that maybe could be a match. All right, so I've gone through all the teams and I've seen the best option that we probably have is Mark Borowiecki. Now, there were a few younger defensemen, but they were at an AHL caliber, and I didn't want to get a young defenseman that we would have to pay more for and then rush them to the NHL. So I'm going to go for Borowiecki and then get some picks on top of him. So one really good thing about Borowiecki is that he fits into all the pairings and defensive lines, which means he's going to be really good for the team chemistry and might actually, because of that, perform better than he actually is. Actually, they don't want Georgiev, so there was one more option, which was Anaheim. This might get us better value. No, they don't want him either. All right, let's see what teams want him. In terms of Dallas, there was Julius Honka. Okay, so maybe we go for Julius Honka. Yeah, oh, he's right-handed. No. Florida. Nothing there. LA. Nothing. Nothing. I mean, he would make sense for Ottawa. That's why I really wanted to trade him there as well, because they need a younger goalie who could play right now and into the future. Toronto's not got anything. All right, so I'm just going to go back to Ottawa, go with what I originally had in mind. So we get Mark Borowiecki off their hands, and look at their current goalie situation. They've got Anderson and Nilsson, so that's pretty brutal. They don't have many. They have 2 prospects, but they're a mile away from being NHL ready. So Georgiev would be a good stopgap for them, or maybe even a starter. So they don't want to give up picks either. They do want to give up 4th and beyond. They have a lot of picks. Wow, nice job. Let's see, we can get a 3rd for next year. Borowiecki in a 3rd, and then maybe add in a 4th for this year as well. Let's do a 5th as well. Just try high, and then we'll go down if they don't accept it. Yeah, they don't take that. Not that either. Okay, there it is. Mark Borowiecki in a third is what goes through. So I'll put in Mark Borowiecki into the team real quick, and that's where we're going to leave this episode. We'll start simulating next episode. I know I said I would trade Georgiev in the next episode, but yeah, I guess that didn't hold up. Anyways, we got Borowiecki here, and that gives a +1. Okay. Yeah, so he doesn't really boost the lines much. We can put Borowiecki up there, which I think I'm going to do because I don't want to overplay Libor Hayek. And on the penalty kill, there were a few penalty kill problems that we haven't had in terms of chemistry. And I think he fits in, so we'll put in Hayek right here. And he does. Oh, not Hayek, sorry. Borowiecki. He fits in. Let's see, can he give a +1? No, he can't. In terms of right here, we should be able to get in Borowiecki. We do. And it helps out the chemistry a bit. I believe it just did. Not sure, I actually didn't see it. Oh, Mark Stall's right there. That's why it didn't improve it. Yeah, it looks like we're stuck with that. Anyways, we still get an asset. We still get a player that's going to help our team, even though it might be not that major. And we get a pick as well. Not as big a return as the Rangers are probably expecting in real life for Georgiev. But as we know, the goalie market is inconsistent, and there were not many teams that really wanted him, and it made sense for them, and there was not much on the market to get as well. So with that, I'm going to leave the episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.